Cam, we're live, my friend.
All right, Bulls, we're back. Episode 3 of the Fat Cats podcast. It's a rainy day here in Charlotte, North Carolina, April the 26th, 2023. We are going to be doing our draft preview today, Ward.
I'm pumped.
Yeah, I'm pumped too, man. We've got some really in-depth, draft evaluations that we're going to be doing. We're going to touch on the NBA a little bit. We're going to talk about Colorado one more time. Hopefully, this is the last time that we talk about Colorado until we play football games. Um, and we had kind of a blunder last episode. Not our fault, but 2 minutes after we ended the recording, Aaron
Hey,
Rodgers went
Rod.
to the Jets. So that's kind of what's in store today. Ward, do you want to start out with some NBA updates? I know your boy Ice Tray had a big night last
Yeah.
night.
Well, boys, I want to say we're here, episode 3. We've made it to 3 episodes so far. I want to say thank you so much for the support of everybody. Where Cam and I, we both work full-time jobs, and we're extremely excited to put this on for you all. Again, you can find us on both Spotify and YouTube. Looks like YouTube's getting a little more or a little more hype around it because of the video. I guess me and Cam both look so good, so everybody wants to watch us on YouTube. But so check out YouTube and Spotify. Just watch it, check the boys out, see what you think. But no, we're extremely excited. We got some great content. Me and Cam have been doing a lot of prep for this. Going to go in and talk about our bust and talk about our big bets and busts. So, but Cam, kind of what you were saying. Talk about my boy Ice Trey Young last night hit the dagger 3-pointer. I don't know if you saw the Boston fans, but the Boston fans were all upset. And no, extremely excited to get into it, man. Trey Young forced game 6, which is surprising, but here we go.
I did not think that series was going to get past 5.
Nope,
Personally,
I didn't either.
Good for Trey though, man. I like Trey Young. A lot of people don't. I
I
don't
like
get it.
Trey Young too.
I like Trey Young. As good as he played, there's actually a bigger performance in the NBA, and that would be Jimmy Butler's 55 piece against um, the Bucks here. And Heat and 5 is in play. A
I
play
think
in.
so, man. I mean, Jimmy Butler looked. I don't know if you. And the best thing about him too is after he hit, it was like with a minute and a half left. He hit that 3-pointer to take the lead, and the camera goes on. He goes, "This is my effing city. I run this B." And I'm like, "Oh yeah, I like that guy. That's awesome. Love to see the enthusiasm. Love to see the trash talk." But and I think me and Cam are both big fans of the trash talk. Love to see it. But no, Jimmy Butler, and I think there's a very solid chance that we do see the Heat in 5. But I mean, the thing is about the Heat too, man, is a lot of people forget this. The Heat were a 1 seed in the East last year. The Heat they had so many injuries this year, the whole season. They lost a lot of games because of that. They never had their starting lineup together. Even now, I mean, both Bam Adebayo. I can't pronounce his last name right. He's been in and out of injury. Tyler Hero's hurt. I mean, I don't know, man. Good for the Heat. I mean, they're a lot better than they get credit for. But a lot of people before the year had actually had the Bucks going to the NBA Finals, and they not even look like they're going to get out of the first round.
Yeah, the injury report for that game tricked me. They had Giannis, Jimmy, and Bam all questionable, all three of
Yeah.
them.
How
Which
did Bam end up playing? Did he play good or not?
he made a defensive impact. I think he had 15 and 12, maybe something like that.
Yeah.
I would love for him to be more aggressive offensively, but if Jimmy Butler's dropping 55, like there's no point. Playoff Jimmy, man. I mean,
Playoff
Jimmy
Jimmy.
he swears up and down it's not a thing. I swear I watched the regular season of the NBA and I think, dude, this guy doesn't even care about basketball. And then the playoffs come and he turns into Michael Jordan.
Hey,
It's
he
stuff.
talks he talks his shit and he hits shots. Can't ask for anything better.
Yep.
You see the
Sun,
Sun. You see the Suns win last night.
yep. Suns close it out.
Dude, it's looking like that chemistry's there. They
Dude,
look good. Suns look really good.
Devin Booker with the 47, KD with 31.
Yeah.
I mean,
I
you
mean,
put two,
I know. I mean, the argument is with the Clippers that Kawhi, he's hurt. I saw he tore his meniscus or something, or which is crazy. But I mean, so they're going to say, oh, they didn't beat Kawhi or they didn't beat the Clippers at their best. But I don't know, man. Suns look good.
um I like that matchup in the next round with the Nuggets as well.
So they do play the Nuggets. And it's looking like the Lakers play tonight too. Lakers might take it tonight, and if they do, I believe the Lakers play Golden State if Golden State wins. But since the Kings' best player just got hurt, I mean, not jumping to conclusions, but it's looking like Golden State is now going to take that.
Yeah, the West to me is far more interesting than the East this
Right
year.
now, it is absolutely right now. Yeah, you're 100%.
And the underperformance of the top teams in the East outside of the 76ers obviously is kind of leaves a room for concern a little bit, but
the East is down here, the West is up here. I mean, there's no the talent levels. Yeah.
One more NBA thing we'll touch on real quick is Paolo Banchero becomes the third Orlando Magic in franchise history to win Rookie of the Year.
Good for Paolo, man.
Yeah, Paolo, great rookie year. I don't think there was really any time where anybody thought that he wasn't going to win Rookie of the Year.
Yep.
He averaged 20 points. Not great efficiency, but there's been plenty of superstars that average a lot of points on bad efficiency their first few years.
Yeah.
So I like him. I think he was my favorite prospect coming out of high school. I wanted him to go to Kentucky terribly.
Yeah.
Obviously. He's a good ball player. I like Paolo Banchero a lot.
He is good, and in his defense too, I know he didn't have much help around him in Orlando. They kind of suck, but we'll say he's a Duke boy. Don't really like Duke. You know, I'm more of an NC State guy myself. And by the way, State for all the Duke fans listening, hope you. I know you didn't forget that ass whooping State gave you when we beat y'all by 25 this year. But anyway, that's for another day. But no, good for Paolo. He hopefully they get some help around him. But yeah, and then one more thing I wanted to cover, you know, kind of talking about some local teams. The Hurricanes lost Game 5 last night, first game back at home. So now we got to go to New York tomorrow night to play Game 6 against the Islanders. It's interesting, man. Playoff hockey's something different, but we should close that series out. You know, we're up 3-2 right now. Should close that series out. Hopefully, we can beat them in front of their home fans. Just screw New York Islanders. But yeah, man, Cam, let's hop right into it. Let's talk some football.
Yeah, let's real quick. I mean, I know we're teasing people with the draft stuff. Let's talk Aaron Rodgers just real quick.
We did not talk into Aaron Rodgers yet. That's right.
I do have a question, and like I said, man, 2 minutes after we hit in the podcast, that news broke. But
I was so pissed off, man, because imagine me and you were back on here raising hell, damn, talking sports, and then breaking news: Aaron Rodgers is finally traded. We all saw it coming. It just finally came. 30 or a minute and a half after our podcast ended. What the hell?
I do have a question for you. First of all, the package that the Jets gave up, they swapped first round picks this year. And basically what it looks like is the Packers traded Aaron Rodgers to move up 2 spots in this year's draft and got 2 second round picks. Do you think that is enough for Aaron Rodgers?
I don't know, man. You know, I don't know. I think it's honestly because you got to look at Aaron Rodgers' contract too. He's making $46 million cap hit this year. I think I looked at all the percentages and the fan votes and stuff like that. I think for both teams, it's a win-win for both of them. They both got what they wanted. You know, Green Bay got some picks. They also got a first rounder. Or no, they swapped first round pick. I think it's like a 2-pick difference. It's not even that big of a deal. But at the end of the day, they both got their guy. And I think both parties are excited. I'm curious to see. My question is Aaron Rodgers the best quarterback? Was it the AFC North, AFC East? AFC East. Yeah. Is he the best quarterback in the AFC East now?
You had to do the trade if you're the Jets, obviously.
Yeah.
I do question, are you and Aaron Rodgers away from a Super Bowl? To me, that answer is no. But if you get an opportunity to trade for Aaron Rodgers, you do it, especially if you can afford him. Packers, man, you better hope Jordan Love is good.
You better hope because they're banking on him big time.
Because you run off, first ballot Hall of Famer, one of the greatest quarterbacks of this generation, and he stinks. You're going to hear about it.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I'm curious to see how Jordan Love does. That's some hard footsteps to follow in for sure. Brett Favre and Aaron Rodgers. Good luck, buddy.
I will say, if they hit on Jordan Love, talk about quarterback greatness in that city, man.
Quarterback dynasty is the Green Bay Packers. But Cam, something I want to hop into real quick. Something that it's kind of pissed me off a little bit, because there's not many of the OG quarterbacks that we grew up watching, and Aaron Rodgers is one of the one. I think Aaron Rodgers is the only one that's still left. I mean, yeah, I mean, he is the only one that's still left. And people saying he's washed, it kind of bothers me a little bit. One, and I'm by no means an Aaron Rodgers fan. You got to look, man. I mean, this dude's won 2 out of the past 3 NFL MVPs. This guy is, I mean, Aaron Rodgers is a real deal. Yeah, he may go and eat mushrooms and sit in caves and do, hey, whatever you do in your personal time, hey, so be it, man. No judgment here. But it kind of bothers me when people says, oh, this guy sucks, this guy's washed, da 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 da. No, he's not. He's not washed at all. He had no talent this year, and he still almost brought him to the playoffs. I mean, or no talent around him. I'm curious to see how it goes in New York. I am very curious, but I don't think he's by any means washed.
I agree with you. I think he's still easily top 5, 6, 7 quarterback in the NFL.
Yeah.
Um, I I agree with you. I'm just going to leave it at that. It does upset me a little bit too to watch this guy, dominate the league for so long. With really, I mean, his last few years in Green Bay, all he had really as a weapon was Aaron Jones
Yeah.
and Devontae Adams, which granted are 2 really good weapons. But yeah, we'll move on.
Hey, you got to watch out too, man. Zach Wilson. Remember what he said. Any veteran that comes to town, he's given hell. I
Yep.
think the only hell Zach Wilson's given is somebody's mom. I think that's the only hell that Zach Wilson's get. But yeah, I don't know how much hell he's going to give to Aaron Rodgers. Good luck, buddy.
Speaking of giving people hell, man, let's talk about Dion real quick one more time, and then we'll more Dion talk until football starts. But this transfer stuff is getting a little bit out of hand with some of these stories coming out.
Just imagine you go to you want to transfer, you're done with a school, you want to transfer, and then your head coach denies your film. So yeah, that's the breaking news. Saw it this morning on ESPN or yesterday on ESPN. Deion Sanders is denying all of his transfers their access to their practice film, game film. How do you expect these guys to get recruited, man? Come on, show some class.
Yeah, I mean, to me, you brought these guys in, you inherited a lot of them. If you're able to bring guys in through the portal, you should be willing to let guys walk through the portal.
Yep.
There's 2 sides to this game.
Have you seen, sorry to cut you off, but have you seen any reason behind why all these guys are transferring yet or not? Has it come out yet?
I think part of it's playing time. I think part of it is living in, Colorado. He's got a lot of kids from the South, and I don't think that that's a
No.
top destination for a lot of those guys.
It was snowing at the spring game.
I did see that their starting left tackle got his scholarship pulled today.
Really?
Yeah, and he kind of told a story about what Dion said to him. That's where I kind of draw the line is if you're pulling scholarships, like
Yeah.
you
What
have
was the reason behind it? Was it grades? Is it like
You said he couldn't play at Colorado. He wasn't good enough.
what?
Yep.
Ooh, he might
He
not
said,
have a team by the end of it. You better watch out.
I hope you have a great future. It's just not going to be here. And that kid's dad is in the Ring of Honor at Colorado. He was a 1990 grad. It's just
That's
feels like
cold-hearted.
yeah. I mean, I don't know. I think you have a 4-year commitment to these guys. That's just my view on it. But
Yeah.
let's kind of get into it here. We've been teasing the people enough. I'm sure that they're wanting the main course here. So this is the official Fat Cats 2023 draft preview. Ward, we're gonna start off, man. I want to hear your 5 to 10, favorite guys in this draft. Ward's big board here. Let's hear
Let's
it.
do it. All right. Well, I'll kind of go in order. I think just like everybody else, I think Bryce Young, I think he's the number 1 quarterback in this draft. And on my top ranked prospects, I have him at number 1. It's kind of can't go wrong there. Number 2, and this one's kind of gotten, there's some argument between him and the guy from Texas Tech. But I personally, argument was I think Will Anderson is the best edge rusher in this draft class. I mean, you look at him, he comes out and runs a 4.4 in his pro day. I mean, he's just a stylistic wise. I mean, he's a freak of nature, man. This guy's good. I mean, I think Will Anderson, whoever gets him, is going to be very lucky because he's fallen off some board or fallen down some boards. Number three, and this is arguably, I think, the best player in this draft class. He's number three on my top ranked prospects. But Jalen Carter, man, I mean, I know he got in some legal trouble, but look at this dude. I mean, this dude's so. I mean, he's crazy good. I think whoever gets him is another one that's very lucky. And another one too, Cam. I know you'll appreciate this, but I actually went on more of a instead of looking at just skill guys, I looked at a lot of the big, the guys in the trenches getting it done, what make football happen. My 4 and 5 are actually both offensive tackles. My number 4 is I'm going to mess up this last name, but Peter Skoronsky from Northwestern. I mean, he's a big old corn-fed boy. He's the highest graded offensive tackle that's coming into the NFL. He's my number 4, and my number 5 is I'm actually going to go Paris Johnson, the offensive tackle from the Ohio State University. He's another one, very good. And then I'll give you one more, Cam, and I'm putting him at the bottom of my list, or I'm putting him at number 6. I think he probably has the best chance fantasy wise he has the best chance fantasy. God, I can't talk today. Anyway, my number 6 is Bijan Robinson, running back from Texas.
Okay, I like the list. I know what you're saying. He's
you know what I was saying. The listeners know what I was saying. They've had
he's a top guy in fantasy sports for sure. I kind of went with a different approach with this list of mine. This isn't like my top 5 best players. This is my top 6 favorite players in this draft.
Okay.
Number 1 for me is wide receiver out of the University of Southern Cal. It's Jordan Addison.
Okay.
I love this dude. He's an alpha. He's walked into 2 programs and been the X receiver, the number 1 receiver, the go-to guy. He does have a little bit of a connection with my Steelers franchise quarterback. He played at Pitt before USC.
Mm-hmm.
But this guy, I mean, he's a true X receiver. He makes contested catches. He's a great route runner. He's got sure hands. And my favorite thing about this guy is if you watch him, he finishes off runs. He doesn't run out of bounds, man. He puts his shoulder down. He gets 2 or 3 yards. He reminds me a lot of Santonio Holmes. He's not a huge receiver, but he's a bigger body receiver, and he's very fun to watch. My second favorite prospect on this draft board is Darnell Wright, offensive tackle out of the University of Tennessee. He is a right tackle, but to me, right now, he's the most polished tackle in the draft. He's got violent hands. He's got a great punch. He's got a beautiful pass set. He finishes off blocks. He loves run blocking. You can tell he plays with the attitude. If he's beating you that day, you're going to hear about it. He hails from Huntington, West Virginia, which is my stomping grounds originally.
Heck yeah.
He's my favorite tackle. I think at the beginning of the draft process, he was like a mid to late second rounder. He's starting to shoot up draft boards. I think he's going to be a top 20 pick this year. Third favorite prospect, Emmanuel Forbes, cornerback, Mississippi State. Another guy you talk about. If he's beating you, you're going to hear about it. I like him a lot too because if you're beating him, it doesn't matter. He will come back and he'll make a play. He reminds me a lot of Ike Taylor. I know I'm giving a lot of Steelers comps right now, but what I mean by that is he has this thing I like to call blind confidence. Every time he steps on the football field, he thinks he's the best player on that field, even if he's not. He's taking the number 1 receiver if he gets the chance. And, I like that competitiveness out of my DB. I like the short memory. And not to talk about the intangibles, he's a long-range corner and he makes plays on footballs. Number 4, I'm going to go with Josh Downs, wide receiver, UNC. He's not a first-round pick by any means. I think he's a early second, mid-second, something like that. But small receiver, great slot guy. If you miss out on the top 3-4 receivers, I think this is a guy you get and you walk away happy with your draft. He's tough. He's shifty in and out of routes. Great speed in and out of breaks. And he does have breakaway speed. Like if he makes a play on a ball, like it's hard to catch him. So we're going to move on to 5, which is I don't know if you can tell, but I love the defensive backs in this draft. We're going to go with Cam Smith out of South Carolina.
Okay.
Long rangey guy. Another guy that takes on the option of taking on the number 1 receiver. I don't think he's a shutdown corner, but I think he can play a Richard Sherman style ball where he sits in cover three a lot and makes plays on footballs. Um, he will knock your head off too. Like it's not he's a willing tackler. I like that out of DBs. And my last guy, I know I've been rambling on here for a little bit, but my last guy is my tight end three, but a lot of people have him as tight end two. Sam Laporta. The dude is an extra tackle in the box, man, and I mean that as
What
a
college?
Iowa.
Iowa.
Um,
Okay.
he's an extra tackle, man. He will get his nose dirty. He'll block. Um, he didn't. The production doesn't really match the film and the talent, but that is because he played for like literally the worst offense in Power Five.
Yeah.
Um, if you watch some of his plays, man, when he gets the ball in his hands, he does some things that make you go, "Wow!" Like that guy's a dude. And the Iowa tight end connection to the NFL, man. I
Oh
think
yeah.
Sam Laporta is going to carry on that tradition. I think he's going to be a tight end we see in the league for a very long time.
That's a great pro comp there. I know Iowa's put some dogs in the tight end or
Yeah.
some dogs in the league past couple of years.
Um, let's kind of move on, and this has kind of been the talk of this draft. Ward, I want to hear your favorite quarterback in this draft and why.
I'm I know I was just hyping up Bryce Young, and I put him as the number one on my big board just because, statistically, I think everybody has your number one. But my personal favorite quarterback, even though he's a little bit dumb, is CJ Stroud. Well, dumb according to his quarterback EOG going into the NFL. But no, I mean, you look at CJ Stroud, man, the success that he's had at Ohio State. I mean, his overall record, his statistics are through the roof. I mean, his touchdown to interception ratio, I want to say, is 8-1 or something like that. And I mean, he's playing in the Big Ten. You look at the top 5 DBs that are coming into the draft. I think 3 of them are out of the Big Ten. So obviously, he's playing against good talent. I don't know. I like C.J. Stroud. He's big. He's tall. He can see over his offensive line. And so I personally think he is the best pro-ready quarterback coming out of this draft. But and another one too. The only quarterback that I do not think is good out of the top 4, I'm not big on Anthony Richardson. I think Will Levis is another one that's really good. What I think is what's going to be the reason if these guys are a boom or a bust is the program that they come into. Obviously the Panthers, whoever gets drafted to the Panthers, they have the weapons. But you look at the Houston Texans, man, I feel bad for a quarterback that gets drafted there. They have no weapons. It all depends on the team that they get drafted to and the organization they get drafted to.
Yeah, I agree wholeheartedly with that statement. Especially as a young quarterback, you want to play within the system.
Yeah.
You want to kind of get your legs under you. So me, my favorite quarterback in this draft is Will Levis.
Kentucky boy.
I've watched every game Will Levis has played. And not to say that he's the most pro-ready quarterback because he's not. But to me, if I'm drafting a quarterback, I want to draft a guy that I know can make every throw on the football field. Mm-hmm. And I know I get that with Will Levis. He's a big, strong guy. He's got a huge arm. He's literally got like a rocket launcher attached to his right shoulder. If you watch his junior year at Kentucky, man, the dude can run. He was hurt last year. He had a turf toe and an ankle. But he can run. He's an athlete. The Josh Allen comp, I don't think that he's Josh Allen per se. I think a good comp with him, like his best of best to me, would be Matt Stafford. Which is nothing to shake your head about. I like him a lot, obviously. And that kind of gets into which you've already touched on it. A lot of people are like kind of jockeying between 3 and 4 here with Levis and Richardson. I don't see it. I'll get into Richardson later on this, but the ceiling is there. I understand it, but the floor with that guy is so low.
Yep.
I can't understand, using a top 15 pick on this guy.
He has like a 75% bust percentage. Did you see that?
I did see that. And that kind of gets us into our next topic. We're going to go biggest bust and best bet.
Yeah.
I want to hear who you think will be the biggest bust out of this draft. It can be 1, 2, 3 guys. And then after that, I want to hear who your best bet, surefire pick is.
So biggest bust, I have three written down. I really want to go over 2 of them in detail. My one biggest bust, I know I just mentioned him and I said the percentage thing, but I think Anthony Richardson, I don't know, man. He doesn't have a great arm. I mean, he has a great arm, but he doesn't have an accurate arm. If that makes sense. He can run like hell. Dude can run. I mean, he fast, quick, but in the NFL, you have to have an arm. Everybody's fast. Everybody's quick in the league. You know, he did play in the SEC. And I mean, you look at some of his pro day stuff is good, but at the end of the day, I've always heard this saying, everybody looks good in shorts. You know, you go back to some of his game film, especially from this past season. I mean, some of the throws he makes, man, like, what are you doing? Like, some of the throws, and they're just way off target. And with the skill set of a lot of the guys in the NFL, man, I mean, that's just not going to last. But another thing, too, a lot of people are saying that he plays a lot like Lamar Jackson. And I honestly, I mean, Lamar, you look at him, Lamar's an MVP in the league. He's about to be, it could be any day now. He will be the highest paid quarterback in the history of the NFL. But I don't know. That's one of my busts. And another bust that I want to go into,
Can I
man.
touch on that real quick?
Yeah.
I hear this a lot. Anthony Richardson, Lamar, Anthony Richardson, Lamar, Anthony Richardson, Cam Newton. Those guys produced in college.
They did. They
Those
both
guys
won Heisman, too.
Those guys won Heisman's, and they weren't. It wasn't, this guy's a good quarterback. It was, is this guy a better receiver? This guy isn't a good quarter. Watch him play football. He's not a good quarterback. I'm sorry to cut you off. I just want to touch on
You're
that.
good.
Those guys produced high numbers in college, and he hasn't. So I don't get the comparing those guys to them.
100% right. And then my next bust, man, and this is going to take a lot of people for a loop, but and a lot of this is a big defensive back. This is a huge defensive back draft, and kind of going off of that, my second biggest bust in this year's draft class is a lot of the number one DB on a lot of boards, which is Devin Witherspoon out of Illinois. And the reason why I say that is Devin Witherspoon is a coverage, hard-hitting defensive back. Or not even coverage. He's a hard-hitting defensive back. You look at all his highlights, bam, bam, bam. I mean, he hits hard. Don't get me wrong. He plays like a Cam Chancellor almost. But I mean, when you go look back and look at some of his highlights, man, his coverage is just not there. Some of the wide receivers that he's getting cooked by wide receivers in college. And you got to think the skill level of the wide receivers in the NFL compared to the skill levels of the wide receivers in college, no comparison. I don't think it was this year. It was this past year. Illinois played, or I'm sorry, I don't think it was 2 years ago. Illinois played Ohio State, and I can't stumble across the highlights. And I mean, these Ohio State wide receivers were absolutely cooking this guy. And Ohio State puts 2 wide receivers in the league every year. So I don't know. That's another one of my busts. And this one, I have one more bust, but I'm not too sure about him. It's this Tyree Wilson guy out of Texas Tech. I haven't done much research out of him. The only reason why I say he's a bust is I watched him play against NC State here in Raleigh in September of this year, and he did nothing against us, against our second string offensive tackle. So, yeah, those were my 3 busts, Cam. Sorry to go on a rant. Your turn, buddy.
Oh, you're good. My 2 busts, we already touched on it. Anthony Richardson. I'm going to put some stats out here for you. His last year at Florida, he threw for 2,500 yards. He only completed 53.8% of his passes.
Wow.
0 passing touchdowns through 3 weeks, the first 3 weeks of the season versus Utah, Kentucky, and Southern Florida.
I did that.
And he never had a game in his career where he threw for over 3 touchdowns.
Wow.
When you watch him, he played really well against Tennessee, who had, I think, the 113th rated pass defense in FBS. He played well. I don't want to say well. His numbers looked good against Georgia. They kind of just made him run, and I think he completed 47% of his passes against Georgia. I just don't like this guy. Not as a person, obviously. I don't know him as a person. Just as a prospect, I just don't see it. I get the tools are there, but the production isn't. And when you go to Florida, you have the talent. There's no question around if this guy has good ball players around him. But my second one, this might come out of kind of left field for some people. I've got Luke Van Ness, the edge out of Iowa. He's sneaking into the first round on some boards. I don't see it. I get the body is there. He's a big dude. He's got a pro ready body. But he was never more than a rotational pass rusher at Iowa. He's not a one through like first down through third down kind of guy. He's strictly a third down guy to me, or late clock situations, long down stuff like that. And to be a edge rusher, that's a pass rush guy. He's got slow moves, and he only really has two or three moves that work. He doesn't have very violent hands. He doesn't have a bull rush for as big as he is. Um, I could see him like a early day three guys like a kind of a project, but I don't see him sneaking into the first round. I don't get it.
Mm-hmm.
But with that being said, we're gonna flip the script here. Ward, I want to hear your best bets.
Yep.
Who are the guys that are surefire draft picks in this draft?
I will go ahead and go number one. And Cam, I know you're going to appreciate this. And this guy is actually the number 4 rated offensive tackle or offensive lineman on the draft boards this year. And Washington is actually projected to get him. Did a lot of research on this guy. But Broderick Jones, the offensive tackle out of UGA. Not sure if you ever watched him play this year or if you ever noticed him on that stacked offense, but this guy is statistically wise. He's number 1. He did not allow 1 sack in college football this year. He plays for the University of Georgia. He played he won the national he's won 2 national championships, and he played in the SEC. I mean, you go against some of the edge rushers you go against the edge rushers in the SEC and not allow 1 sack. I mean, I think that's pretty. And I believe it was 1 sack on 266 pass attempts. Cam, you'll have to fact check me there. It's between 240 and 260. But I mean, that's pretty solid, man. You look at that. I mean, statistically wise, it's hard to beat that. But so that's my number 1. My number 2 is, I touched on it earlier, Jalen Carter. Jalen Carter out of Georgia. Going a lot of Georgia guys here, but Jalen Carter reminds me a lot of Dexter Lawrence, who actually went to high school with. They are quick up the middle. They stop the run, they cause havoc, and they make plays. And Jalen Carter, I think whoever gets him, he was the number 1 rated player until he got in some legal trouble a couple months back. But I think it's hard to go wrong with him. But yeah, Cam, what about you? What are your big bets?
Yeah, I'll go ahead and touch on it real quick. Jalen Carter is my number 1.
Yeah.
A lot of Fletcher Cox in that guy. He's a big body.
Yeah.
He's quick off the line. He's got great hands. He's explosive. To me, that's the most surefire guy in this draft. I know he's got some quote unquote off the field issues, but the talent is there. I don't know exactly the situation, but when you're just looking at tape and looking at the ball player, man, this guy's far and away the best prospect in this draft to me.
Absolutely.
And my second guy is Notre Dame tight end Michael Mayer.
That's great, dude. Yeah.
I think this guy's the best tight end in the draft. Talk about another guy who's an extra tackle in the box, man. He blocks very well. Sure hands. He's not explosive by any means, but he's steady. He's exactly what you want out of a tight end. To me, he's the most pro-ready guy on that draft board in terms of tight ends. He's the guy for me at the tight end position.
He's really cool at a personal level too. Not to shout out one of our rival podcasts, but he went on Busting with the Boys. Yeah, don't listen to them, listen to us. But he went on Busting with the Boys, and he did a segment with them, and he's just real down to earth, funny dude too.
Awesome. Yeah. Kind of keeping on the same track a little bit. Ward, do you have any guys in the late rounds or sleeper picks that you really like?
I have 2 sleeper picks that I really like, and these guys will probably be day 2 picks if I had to guess. They'll be somewhere in the 2nd or 3rd round. But my number 1, I'm just going to go off the limb and say Jahmyr Gibbs, the running back from Alabama. I mean, you look at Alabama's put 8 or 5 running backs the past 5 years in the league, and all of them have been successful. I just don't see Jahmyr Gibbs just falling off. He's been in the weight room. He's been in practice. He's been in the running back room with these guys. So he's one that I think is really good. And number 2, another late round steal that I have, and I don't know how this guy is not higher on draft boards, but it's Cedric Tillman, the wide receiver out of Tennessee. I mean, what solidified this for me is after I watched him play against Alabama, he had, 300 receiving yards and 3 touchdowns or something in that ballpark. I mean, dude, it's incredible, man. He's a once in a lifetime wide receiver talent. Can't pull up his stats from that Alabama game if you don't mind. And I mean, this guy, I just think this guy's the real deal. And you look at his stats from this past year, he's been great. And yeah, I think it's a steal for whoever gets him.
Um, I'm pulling up these stats real quick for you.
Yeah.
I don't want to say it before I see it, but I think you may be talking about Jalen Hyatt.
I am talking about Jalen Hyatt. Never mind. My bad. I messed that one up. That's exactly what I'm talking about, Jalen Hyatt. But no, I got Cedric Tillman and Jalen Hyatt mixed up in that. But yeah, this Cedric Tillman guy's the real deal. I think it's a sleeper for whoever gets him.
Yeah, I like it. I like both of those guys actually. Jalen Hyatt, I know, is kind of a tweener in the second and third round right now. He's very explosive. He's got a small frame for sure. And Tillman is, your kind of wide receiver of the pass. He's 6'3", 220.
Yeah.
He's a big guy. He blocks. I like both of those guys. For me, my sleepers, my favorite sleeper in this draft is Viliami Fehako. He's an edge out of San Jose State. 6'4", 265, pro ready body. Obviously he didn't play the level of competition of some of these guys we've been talking about. But you go turn on the tape, man, the pass rush moves are there. Personally, I would take this guy over Luke Van Ness. He's a 1-3 guy. He doesn't take plays off. He's got a motor from hell. He wins on a lot of his first pass rush moves, but you also watch him against higher level tackles, and he's winning on 3, 4, 5 pass rush moves. The guy doesn't stop. He does line up over the right tackle, which obviously is kind of a lesser position, not being on the blind side. But that's a dude I really love. Probably, I haven't really seen his projections. I've seen him go anywhere from late 4th round to early 6th round. So I really like that guy especially for that value. Another guy, and he's not really a sleeper anymore, which kind of sucks. He's really risen up draft boards the past couple weeks. But it's wide receiver Jonathan Mingo out of Ole Miss. He kind of fits the mold of Ole Miss receivers. He's 6'1", 6'2", 220. Fast. I mean, fast is about out of hell. I don't want to say he's as good as AJ Brown or DK, obviously, but when you look at the eye test, he fits the bill. The production was there at Ole Miss. He's a 3-year starter. I don't have his stats pulled up in front of me. I know he's struggled with injuries a little bit, but I went back and watched him play against Kentucky the COVID year, and Bossman Fat Kelvin Joseph was guarding him the entire game, and he had I think it was 8 catches for 115 yards against Bossman.
Oh, he's good.
So he's a good ball player.
Yeah.
And we got one more real quick. Nick Herbig, linebacker out of Wisconsin. He's 6'2", 227.
Oh yeah.
Played edge. So he's kind of a tweener. He's played off ball a little bit. I like him as an edge prospect, like a rotational edge prospect. I also like him as kind of he's not the player, but kind of the prototype of Michael Parsons, being able to play off ball and edge. Obviously not at that level.
Yeah.
I think this guy's a good late day 2 pick just to get him on your roster. He's a winner. He comes from a football family. His brother's in the NFL. His dad played in the NFL, so that's a guy that I also like.
I know. I watched his highlights actually I think it was on Twitter or something a couple of weeks ago. He reminds me a lot of that Leighton Vander Esch from Dallas. He's just like he's a big box linebacker. Yep. He's good though. That's another one. And Cam, one more thing too. I forgot to mention this. 2 sleepers that I have, and they're actually my 2 buddies that play at NC State here in Raleigh. But the brothers, both there and Drake Thomas, they're on draft boards. They're going through their draft process. So whoever gets those two guys they're getting 2 studs. So that's my one more I want to throw in, or 2 more I want to throw in.
I like those 2 guys. You talk about production on the field, man. There's not too many guys better than those 2. Both 3-year starters, I believe.
Drake's a 3-year, Thayer's a 4-year.
Okay. Played high level college ball for a long time. Obviously, maybe the speed or the body isn't there for those 2 guys, but I mean, you just talk about production. Those are guys that I could see being late round picks, and you look
going
up
in and being a stud, getting paid.
Yeah. You look up in 2 or 3 years and you're like, that guy made a roster and he's starting for those guys. Like, wow, like that's awesome. But yeah, those 2 guys I like a lot, and I'm glad that you brought them up.
Yeah.
Ward, I'm going to kind of leave this up to you. Do you want to touch on Dalvin Cook and Derrick Henry before or after our mock draft coming
We
up?
can we can go before really quick. I know there's some breaking news out of the NFL that Cam and I wanted to discuss, which is kind of crazy. You know, Dalvin Cook, which is arguably one of the best running backs in the NFL. Same with Derrick Henry. Both teams are actively shopping them in the draft. You know, they're using them as weapons to maybe move up into a draft pick or trade those away for draft picks, which is I don't know. It's surprising. But the Derrick Henry one really hit me because you think of the Tennessee Titans. What player do you think of? Derrick Henry. Derrick Henry is the franchise in Tennessee, and it's not like he hasn't had a productive year. I know Dalvin Cook didn't have the greatest year this year. He battled with injuries, and I mean, I don't know, man. What do you think about it?
To me, you know how I feel about the running back position.
Yeah.
Um, to me, they're a dime a dozen. You can get a good running back in the 6th round. You can get a
Yep.
undrafted free agent to be a good running back. But also understand that there's a top tier running backs that you want on your team. To me, if I'm a team trading for those guys, the only way I trade for them is if I think I'm a Dalvin Cook or Derrick Henry away from a Super Bowl.
Yep.
With those contracts and the amount of picks you're probably going to have to give up, it makes sense if you're going all in to win a Super Bowl now. But I would rather draft a guy in the 6th round. I'd rather draft Deuce Vaughn in the 6th or 7th round, give him a chance, than pay older running backs. That's just me.
So are you paying Saquon Barkley if you're the Giants or not?
No chance.
No
He's a
chance.
great player. I get it. Somebody will pay him. I just think it's especially with his injury history.
Yeah, I don't blame you. I agree.
20 years ago, 10, 15, 20 years ago, yeah, I'd pay him.
Yeah.
But that's just not the game anymore. Like, you don't need a workhorse at running back anymore.
Yep.
But kind of getting in, we're going to give the people what they've been waiting for. We're going to go top 17 pick mock draft. The reason we picked 17 is we're going to go 15 and then focus on the Steelers and Commanders because those are our teams.
Those are the boys.
Come to find out that the Steelers have the 17th pick and the Commanders have the 16th pick, so we just decided we'll do a top 17 mock
Top 17.
So that's where we got the weird number from. We're doing no trades in this mock draft. We just didn't want to keep up with it. So with that being said, do you want to go my first pick, your first pick, or do you want to give all 17 and then I give all 17?
All right, so this is what I think we do. Let's do your first pick, my first pick through our top 5 picks, and then after that, we'll go 6 through 10, 6 through 10, 10 through 17, 10 through 17. That makes sense.
I like it a lot. Okay,
right, I'm sorry, 10 through 15, and then we both do our own for
yeah, I got you. So with my first pick, the Carolina Panthers, even with all this draft buzz coming around Will Levis, with all the lines moving, they still take quarterback Bryce Young out of Alabama.
Yep. And Cam, I agree with you, my friend. I don't know how many agreements we'll have in this draft, but yeah, I agree with you. I have Bryce Young going number 1 to the Carolina Panthers. Welcome to Charlotte, Bryce.
Number 2, I've got the Houston Texans taking defensive lineman out of the University of Georgia, Jalen Carter.
Okay. I like it. I like it. So my number 2 is I also have them taking a defensive lineman, but not out of University of Georgia, out of the University of Alabama, Will Anderson Jr. And the reason why I have them not taking a quarterback here is Houston had the worst statistically ranked defense in the NFL last year in almost every single category. And outright, they sucked. Defense sucked, and at the end of the day, defense wins championships. So that's the reason why I have them fixing up their defense and taking Will Anderson.
The best edge prospect in the draft, by the way. I agree with you. That's kind of what I was going with, kind of beef up that defense. And the way the draft boards are falling right now, they're at 12. Potential trade up target, also potential to slip and get one of those guys at 12.
Yep.
To me, you take the best player in the draft when you get a chance. That being said, I'll kind of follow suit with you. With the 3rd pick, the Cardinals take Will Anderson Jr., edge out of Alabama.
Yep. And I'm following suit here too. At the 3rd pick, I have with Arizona just losing, or with the Cardinals just losing J.J. Watt. I think they're going to need some interior defensive line help, so I have them taking Jalen Carter. But something to add, this is a huge trade target. Huge chance that Arizona is not picking 3 this year. So just throwing that out there.
Yeah, I think, Colts are possible to trade up there. Titans, to me, are the most
another one.
keep an eye on. and we'll go ahead and get into it now, I guess, because this is really the pick that both of us were talking
Yeah.
about. To me, Colts, Raiders, and Titans all keep an eye out to trade up to 3 here for a quarterback. With number 4, I do have the Colts getting their guy with Will Levis. There's been some reports that that's their guy. They love him. So he's going to be my second quarterback off the board here.
Yep. And I have a quarterback going off the board here too. I actually have, instead of Will Levis, I have C.J. Stroud. C.J. Stroud had a lot of buzz. Obviously, he was, for the longest time, he was supposed to be the number 1 pick. Then the line changed to Bryce Young. But yeah, I have the Colts getting their guy in C.J. Stroud at 4.
I like it. At 5, I have the Seahawks taking Tyree Wilson, edge out of Texas Tech, who you are not a fan of, I
Yep.
know. Prototype edge rusher, though. I know the production doesn't really match up with the body or the film, but I think the Seahawks can get him in there and make him a good ball player.
Well, Cam, we actually have the same pick here. I also have them taking Tyree Wilson. So we agreed on 2 out of the 5.
I like it. And the other 2 were just flip flopped.
Exactly.
At 6, I had the Lions taking Devin Witherspoon, defensive back out of Illinois.
Man.
You copied my draft, man. Yeah, I think they just got rid of Jeff Okudah. I think they're looking for another clear cut, cornerback 1. I think personally Witherspoon is the best defensive back in this draft. I know Ward doesn't agree with me, but yeah, that's what I have Detroit doing. Based off your reaction, Ward,
Yeah.
I'm assuming we can move to the 7th pick.
Yeah, we'll move to the 7th.
The Raiders are going to take Christian Gonzalez, DB out of Oregon.
I also have that, but the Raiders are a big target. Watch for the Raiders here. Raiders are a big target to take a quarterback as well. So yeah. I also haven't taken the DB out of Oregon too. So.
Okay. Awesome. For guys, I promise we didn't copy each other's draft.
No. We didn't even tell each other.
me and Ward do kind of talk the draft a lot and prospects, so we kind of have our head in the same places. We kind of like the same guys, so that's kind of what it is. Yep. At 8, I know we won't get the same one here. I have the Falcons taking C.J. Stroud, quarterback, Ohio State.
Okay. I can see that. They're another one to take. But one thing is, they have their quarterback of the future, Taylor Heineke, in Atlanta, so I don't know about that one. But no, I'm just kidding. I have the Falcons taking Nolan Smith, defensive end from the University of Georgia.
I like it. Believe it or not, Nolan Smith did not make my top 17.
Really?
Yeah. The injury concerns, I think, might come out on draft day, and people might get a little bit scared there.
Interesting. Okay.
At 9, I have the Bears taking Peter Skoronski, offensive tackle, Northwestern.
Okay. Yeah, the Bear. I have an offensive tackle, but not from Northwestern. I actually have Paris Johnson from Ohio State going here.
Okay. Well, I have Paris Johnson going 10, so to the Eagles.
Yep, and this is where I'm going to throw a curveball here. I think with the Eagles just losing Miles Sanders, I think there's a strong chance that the Eagles take arguably the number 1 player in this draft off the board here. At number 10, I have the Eagles taking Bijan Robinson from the University of Texas.
I like it. I like that pick a lot. He was the guy in this draft for a while, and the buzz has kind of dropped down a little bit. Yeah. Again, I've already said it. I would never take a running back in the first round, but that dude, if you like running back, that is the guy. Yeah. At 11, I'm gonna have the Titans taking Jackson Smith and Jibba here from Ohio State. True slot receiver. A lot of people think he's the best receiver in the draft. I don't share that same sentiment, but I do really like him as a prospect.
Okay, so I actually have a little curveball here. So for the Titans at number 11, I think they went last year, tried to draft a quarterback of the future, Malik Willis. Malik Willis proved that he sucks, and they had to bring in a guy off the street to replace Malik Willis. So I actually have the Titans taking Cam's boy, old Kentucky boy, Will Levis.
I like it. Yeah, they're trade up to 3 candidate for sure to jump the Colts. I don't see a scenario where Will Levis is not playing in the AFC South next year, personally. But moving on to the Texans, at 12, I have them taking Anthony Richardson, quarterback, University.
Interesting. Okay. I think that's a strong chance. If he falls all the way to 12, I think they will take a risk and take him. But I actually, have them with the losing Brandon Cooks. I have them taking a receiver here. I have him taking Jackson Smith. You're going to have to say the last name. But Ohio State boy, Ngigba. I don't know if I said that right, but
Njibba.
Njibba. There we go. I have him taking him.
At 13, I have the Packers going off brand here. Doing something for Jordan Love that they never did for Aaron Rodgers, and that is taking wide receiver Jordan Addison out of USC.
That's smart. That's a very good. I didn't even think of that. I have them taking defensive end Lucas Van Ness from Iowa. You're bust.
Well, you're more on par than what I am.
That's really smart though.
That's probably what they'll do.
And since they just lost, what's his name too? They just lost one of their receivers to the Jets.
Yeah,
Lazard, yeah.
At 14, I'm going to have the Pats here taking the best running back in this draft, Bijan Robinson.
Okay.
Texas.
Knowing, so for me at the Pats here at 14, knowing who their head coach is and how he likes to take his skill players in the 6th and 7th round, I actually have him taking old Northwestern boy, Peter Skoronski.
I like it. A lot of concern with Skoronski that he might be a guard. He's 6'4", 6'3", 6'4".
Yeah.
With short arms. I think he's a tackle, but a lot of people are talking about him at guard. But if he goes to the Pats, he will be left tackle. I promise you that.
Yeah.
At 15, I had the Jets taking Darnell Wright, offensive tackle, University of Tennessee.
Yeah, and I'm doing a flip-flop there. So I actually have the same thing. I have Darnell Wright as well going to the Jets.
Okay.
I saw today, right before this podcast, there's a very high chance they're looking at a wide receiver there too.
Okay. Ward, I just now realized as we get to 16 and 17 that we did not do what we were going to say.
No, we didn't.
Ward, the floor is yours, man. I want you to go first for your guys. Hell to the Commanders. Let's go football team. Let's hear it.
HTTR, baby. To the boys, this is going to be our next, the next great right here at 16. But I actually, coming into this year's draft, we have the 3 positions we need to address are DB, DB, offensive line, and tight end. And we mostly DB. And, I did have us taking a DB, but there's been a lot of DBs taken off the board at this point. So I actually have us falling back and actually taking an offensive lineman, the best offensive lineman in this year's draft class, which is Broderick Jones from UGA.
I have the same exact pick for you guys.
Do you really?
Coming up here at 17. Also, I want to add Broderick Jones. I really like him a lot.
He is good. I
think he is the middle ground between these 3 left tackles. I think Skoronski has the highest floor, lowest ceiling. I think Broderick Jones has the second highest floor, second highest ceiling. And I think that Paris Johnson Jr. has the lowest and the highest ceiling. At 17, the Pittsburgh Steelers keep it in the family. They go Joey Porter Jr., defensive back, Penn State. PZ Jr., you are a Pittsburgh Steeler.
He's a dog. I actually have him. I have the same thing. I have him going to y'all too. There's a lot of mock drafts that have Joey Porter Jr. coming to 16 to us, but he's really good. I've watched a lot of his highlights. So Cam, what do you think about this? Do you think there's a chance that y'all trade back and try to get more picks, or do you think
I think that there's a higher chance we trade up than trade back.
Interesting. Okay.
I know that they like Paris Johnson Jr. a lot in Pittsburgh. I think we stay put at 17 before we move back. But I think if Paris Johnson makes it to 10, I think that the Eagles are definitely a partner that we might dance with.
Okay.
I do not trade him back, especially with 32 there, first pick of the second round. I don't see us trading back.
Yeah.
Do you see any movement in Washington?
Well, actually, just breaking news. We have to talk about this. The Commanders, as of right now, are declining 5th-year option for defensive end Chase Young.
Whoa.
Which is absolutely insane to me. I think this is the absolute dumbest thing that we can personally do. Yeah, don't get me wrong. This guy has not had he's been hurt the past 2 years. And before he got hurt 2 years ago, he wasn't playing up to par. But this guy was a defensive rookie of the year, his rookie year. He makes an impact on the field. I think this is absolutely dumb. I'm lost for words at this point for our organization because now they're forcing us to pay him. So we decided to bring him back in. He's from DC. We're going to have to pay this dude $25 million a year. But, yeah. But, Cam, kind of going off what you were saying, off of Washington. I don't think y'all. I can see y'all trading up too. Washington would end up working out for us last year big time. There's a very, very high chance if I had to bet $100, I would bet on us actually trading back. Last year it worked out in our favor. We traded back with the New Orleans Saints, got 3 picks out of it, and 2 of those 3 picks were actually 2 of our starters now, Sam Howell and Bijan or Brian Robinson, not Bijan Robinson, Brian Robinson from Alabama. So, yeah.
I like it. That was the Fat Cats draft preview. I don't know, Ward, do you have anything else you want to touch on before we kind of get out of here?
No, I think this has been great. I just want to say to our listeners, if you've made it this far, I owe you a beer, a Coors Light, not a Bug Light. But yeah, I just want to say thank you guys for checking us out. Thanks for riding with us. We're extremely excited about this. We put a lot of time into it. For everybody watching on YouTube, here's my list of my draft list for the day that we went off of. But Cam, anything you want to?
No, I just kind of want to preview our draft review. Look out for that Sunday night, Monday morning. We're going to potentially, and I put potentially very, very highly, add a new guest for that show. Our boy James Fry might be coming onto the show. So keep an eye out for that. And keep an eye out for the interview coming up soon. We're aiming for end of the week next week. If there's any complications with that, we'll be sure to let you guys know. But again, find us at the Fat Cats Pod on Instagram and TikTok. Look us up on YouTube at the Fat Cats Podcast and
Check the boys out.
The Fat Cats Podcast on Spotify, and that is all we got. That was episode 3 of the Fat Cats Podcast.
It's going to be electric tomorrow night, NFL Draft. Let's get it. Cam, always a pleasure, my friend. Thank y'all for listening.
Peace.